everybody. How are you doing on this fine Sunday evening? I'm just looking in the comments and reaction section. I mean, before we even went live, we had one thumbs down. What the heck? One thumbs down, and we hadn't even gone live. What the heck? But 9 thumbs up. So appreciate the thumbs up. Anyways, how are you doing? You know, it's we all should have just watched the Chicago game, so we're gonna get into that and plus anything else you guys want to talk about tonight. But as always, I don't do this by myself. Everybody say hi to everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Ed. How you doing, Ed?
Peter Brown, how's it going, man? It's been a little while since we haven't done a live video, one of these podcasts, and yeah, there's just been, the games are kind of, getting in the
Too
way.
many Sunday night games. We've
There
had
you
way too many Sunday night games that conflict with this. Now I know it's like some people have told me, "Hey, go home and do a show live," and I'm like, "No, I don't want to."
go. You're not gonna make me do what you want me to do. So
It's one of those things where it's like, we're in game day mode and we're in no rush to leave the stadium and enjoy our time and stuff like that. So I never really kind of feel up for it. But luckily, this Sunday night game was done a little bit early, so we had a chance to get in here, and that's good. But as always, everybody, and if you're in the chat, say hello. Get busy talking. I don't see anybody talking yet, but get busy talking, and you help drive the show. But before we get too far, let's say a big thank you to our sponsors, and start off with Caneswear. I was just at Caneswear yesterday, and the shirt I'm wearing, I got at Caneswear yesterday.
hey, yeah, that's a pretty cool shirt, man. I dig it.
So you too can have yourself a Inter Miami polo, and it's at Caneswear. They have the messiest wall in all of South Florida. They've got the best deals in all Inter Miami gear. They have an amazing sale rack that they have out front where they have really really good deals. Some
Yeah,
50.
Peter, when I go in there, sorry to interrupt you. I always say nice rack. You know, I got plenty of those, folks.
Yeah. But they have a rack there that's got 50% off on, and there's some messy shirts there that were 50% off. We'll have a video up this week of me shopping. So
Nice.
back to
And
Caneswear.
Peter,
So they're located in Davie, Florida. Just south of 595 on University Drive. If that's too far for you to go to caneswear.com. All orders over $99 ship for free. And everything that's in the store is also on the website. So do that.
yeah, and Peter, don't forget if you guys want to buy property in South Florida, or if you want to sell, the person to do it with is the goat of all realtors, Mia Rodrigues. She speaks 3 languages. Go ahead and give her a call, or just send her a WhatsApp in any language that you want, and she'll talk back to you, and she will sell or buy, help you buy a property. And you too could see her on TV. She's famous, Peter Brown. That's why she's the GOAT. She comes out on TV. She does the American Dream. If you guys haven't seen that, you got to go check that out. And you could even appear on her show. There you go, the American Dream, selling
I was
Florida.
looking for it.
There you go. And you could appear on her show too if you want to sell and become famous, or just contact me at Rodrigues and get it going, people. Let's invest in South Florida.
All right. And if you want to join in on the conversation tonight, you can always call 786-474-4435. So let's start off. There are only a few of you in the chat, so this will be really, really quick so far. And this is probably what happens when you take a few weeks off and a couple weeks off of doing the Sunday night show. And so, this is what happens. But say hello to Jose Velasquez, One World, One Goal, and then Esteban Dito. I had the opportunity to sit and watch a game recently with old Esteban, so hung out with him a little bit at the last MLS game, which you missed, Ed. Yeah, that's what it was. I was trying to remember.
Yeah, it was terrible. I couldn't make it, but sometimes you just can't do it. Mother-in-law's birthday, so you gotta do the family thing. But yeah, man, look at that Patrick Barnhill. He's driving, he says.
Oh, there you go. Patrick's in. All right.
Nice, good old Patrick. He's our hookup. And yeah, Peter, let's. Some people talking about the last game where we did that incredible comeback win. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Yeah, what was your take on that?
Well, yeah, the LAFC game, Champions Cup. Yeah, I was there, and we have a video up that's doing really really well. So if you haven't, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, go check that out. But yeah, that game was that was a lot of fun. That was one of the most exciting games I've been to. The comeback. LAFC is a good team, so it was not going to be an easy match, and it wasn't. And you saw a very different team today, but that the Champions Cup is so much fun to go to. And one thing that's really good about the Champions Cup, it is not an MLS game. It is a FIFA game, CONCACAF game. Tickets are affordable. The next
Mhm.
round of tickets, if you're a season ticket holder, they're already loaded into your account, and you opt in if you want to purchase them. And our seats were only $60 a piece. That
Oh
is
wow.
less than an MLS game, right? An MLS game is over $100 a piece for where we're sitting. I forget the exact amount, but it's over 100. So it's a good deal also to go to a game that actually matters. It's not like tonight. Tonight you could kind of feel that the game may have not meant anything really, because in the long run, I mean, you can make up for some losses or ties or what have you in the long run. But that game of the Champions Cup, it was like a nail biter, right? And it was like basically sold out, over 19,000 people on a Wednesday night. I mean, that's how great is that for a Wednesday night game? One
Yeah.
World, One Gold, talking about the video, says, your videos have been outstanding. We went from super excitement to a bit boring game on that bouncy turf we played just off hitting the woodwork. She says turf. Is it that was
In Chicago right now?
that was real grass, wasn't it? That wasn't turf.
It looked like real grass, but I'm not
Look,
sure if anybody knows if it was, but it looked like real grass to
it looked
me.
real to me. If that was artificial turf, that's very good artificial turf. I think that was real,
Co-
but
Compared to Vancouver's artificial turf, which looks terrible. I don't know if did you see
yeah,
that
yeah,
Vancouver
yeah.
game?
Yeah. Talk about just that game. That was yesterday's MLS game. Not, I mean, they obviously are doing well in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and so I know you and I were both kind of focusing, watching a little bit of that Vancouver game because that's next up in the Champions Cup. So 5-1,
I'm
they
worried,
beat.
Peter. Those guys are
Yeah,
on fire,
yeah. Who were
and
they
they know
playing
how to
again?
play.
What was it? 5-1 against
Austin. They played
Austin.
Austin, they
Austin, that
had
was
at
it.
that moment the best defense in MLS. They only had, I think, 4 or 5 goals against, and they just fell apart this time. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried because Vancouver's a real deal. It's not going to be easy. A lot of people say Vancouver, no big deal, but they are first in the West. And like I said, I'm nervous, Peter Brown, because they're the real deal, and sometimes we're not as strong, on defense, and
Mm-hmm.
there's this game, the last couple games we've been tying, so I'm kind of worried what's happening to our offense. Maybe we should have let Messi rest this time. They put in a Bondo, put in. I was really hoping that they would rest this game.
Yeah, switching gears to tonight. Um, I would have liked to have seen them at least rest Messi for half the game, right? Let him come in the second half or something like that. Um, but hey man, there's a lot of you got to think about the show of it all. And there's a lot of people in Chicago that had yet to see Messi. I mean, last year we went there, I think, and he didn't play. So for the show element of it, for the business side of things, it made sense for him to play. But forgetting about Messi, I wanted to see Obando play. I don't know anything about him yet. I only know we saw him play just a couple minutes, I think, a few games ago. But, he's supposed to be that kind of Campana replacement. And, you and Marco have told me that he's the real deal. He's good. Marco specifically has mentioned that. So I want to see him. And tonight would have been a good night, a no risk game, right? If they lost tonight, it would have been no problem. It's no risk really tonight. So bring in Obando. Let us see what he looks like.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed, and I'm wearing the Ecuador, one of the old Ecuador shirts. I believe this is from the 2002 World Cup,
Mm-hmm.
and today was elections in Ecuador, so I went with my wife to do the voting. And yeah, Bondo, I would have loved to see him play. Unfortunately, Mascherano is doing what he wants, so you just the coach has not made that many mistakes like Tata was doing recently. But last year,
Yeah.
where we probably could have won games if we would have done the changes on time or whatever. So, well, I think we give him a little bit more space because really he's only lost one game since he's come on board, which was the LAFC game for the CONCACAF champions. So he's
I
done good in my book.
Yeah, and I don't blame Mascherano too much for this. Sure, he picks the lineup, but how much power does he really have when it comes to Messi and Suarez? Those are his buddies. He probably goes to them and he says, "Are you good to go?" And if they
Mhm.
want to play, they're playing. I,
And they
you know,
love
I think it's simple as that. He is the manager behind the real manager, and that is Messi.
right. Yeah.
So, I just, yeah, I wouldn't, and you could blame him then for just not having the balls to stand up to those guys, but that's what he was brought in for. He was brought in, you know, Messi's calling the shots, and I think Suarez is right behind him. If Mascherano goes to Suarez and says, "How's your knee? How you feeling?" and Suarez says, "I'm starting," then guess what? You start unless there's a real serious injury related thing, and then the coach may step up and the medical staff may step up and say, "No, you got to sit down." But I think he goes to them and says, "How you guys feeling today?"
Yeah, and right now I'm looking at all, you actually had some organization down there of how we were going to talk, and I'm all over the place. Sorry, Peter, for
Yeah, yeah, I'm
ruining your.
trying to be more organized now, Ed. I spent a lot of time on making the video look nicer and a little more organization, Now,
Yeah,
some people just stroll in here at the last second. Some of us work here on Football Miami TV.
true. That's true, Peter, and I'm sorry, but yeah, while we're at it, while I'm messing up your whole video,
Keep
I
going.
don't
Let's roll with it.
keep ruining your organization here. And I don't know if you saw the video. Well, it was in Spanish with Andres Cantor and Futbol de
I
Primera.
I
He
heard about
came.
it.
It's one of the that's one of the radio shows that's been on for a very long time, and he's been on there. And they just had a new, uh, I think not offices, but their new studio. So they inaugurated it with Jorge Mas, and Jorge Mas was saying that they are probably maybe a month away from securing what he believes, and he's pretty positive that Messi will sign for another year and a half. So I'm looking forward to that. Crossing my fingers, it does work out. But he was saying, and he confirmed that Messi will be a part owner of
Hmm.
Inter Miami. So I'm very excited about that. To
Which
have
which
uh-huh.
is one of the worst kept secrets. Everybody knew that. I mean, the Athletic had that reported. The percentage is the only thing we don't know because the earlier reports were 30%, and then other people said no, that's way too high. So that's really the up for negotiation. I mean, conversations. Is just how much of a percentage. We all knew he was going to be an owner, but yeah, I saw. So I didn't see the interview because I think it was in Spanish, right?
Yeah,
But the Athletic did an article on that, and they took a lot of quotes, and so I got to read a lot of it. And I think he said they expect him to sign within 60 to 90 days. They should have an answer, and yeah, full expectation that he plays in the new stadium, and that he says the stadium is on target to open in March. Going
it looks
to,
pretty good. And
however,
I drove by today, by the way. I didn't have the chance to film it because we were kind of having a hurry because we were doing the election thing with my wife. But it looks it's moving fast, Peter.
Well, in a couple of my videos, so uh, he Jorge Mas's confidence on schedule, blah blah blah. Some of the people at the experience center, won't mention names, they may not be quite as confident, but they're or in the other or at least they're thinking contingency plans. And so how some of some of the videos, construction videos that I filmed, and I like to do my little walk and talk, and I've mentioned things like, hey, it's no big deal if the stadium's running late because they have a home. They've got a stadium. We wouldn't have to be one of those teams that plays 5-6 games on the road while the stadium is finished. That was my argument, and I was saying it's not a big deal. But
And this is a big but.
well, what was brought to my attention, and it makes complete sense that my theory doesn't really work. And if there are delays on the stadium, they would have to play 5, 6, 7, whatever many games it is on the road because ticket sales. You've bought into 2026 season. You've bought this seat. And now that seat is not available. They may not have an equivalent of that seat at Chase Stadium. There's also fewer seats at Chase Stadium, right? So it's going to be a 25,000 seat stadium in Miami. So there are 5,000 to 6,000 fewer seats. And so if you bought a ticket and now a season ticket, the only thing they could do is say, all right, we're playing at Chase Stadium. We're going to refund some people, but how do they pick those people, right? So the idea is that they would end up having to play X amount of games on the road, just like any other team, solely because of the whole ticket sale thing. So,
wow.
Esteban is saying, I don't think this is true, but Peter, your super chats only work for $50 and above. Anything less, it does not work. Check them out. I mean, we've gotten super chats for like $2 before, so I don't know.
We'll on that because we want your.
There's as far as super chats go, there is no like from our setup, there is no setting. It's just a on or off. So, but that is, if you want to contribute to the channel, that is available. But we never ask for it. Janet Luis said this game was frustrating.
We had some chances and weren't able to score.
So as far as I guess some of our videos, Feta Ibrahim said, you let the fans that don't live get the stadium experience. Thanks, man. Oh, so those that can't get to the stadium, we're allowing them to have that experience. So you're welcome. One world, one goal. As far as the stadium says, it will get done on time, Peter. I mean, it might. And it's looking good, but just delays happen, and so you just got to think about potentially what would happen if there was a delay. So the one thing is, the Mas family has proven they could deliver a stadium on time. They did it with Chase Stadium. It delivered on time. So they're working weekends now. From what I understand from people that have driven by it at night, that they've got the lights on. They're working at night as well. So they know how to. I guess they're willing to pay the overtime to get it done. So that's definitely a positive. So, but going back to that comment that it was a frustrating game from Janet. To me, the game was there's so many sloppy passes in this game that was driving me nuts from everybody. Yeah. Ustari should have been the man of the match. I know they gave the man of the match on the TV to the opposing goalkeeper, Bradley or whatever his name was, Brady. Ustari had more saves, I think. His saves were better because Chicago probably had better chances. I mean, obviously Messi had some good chances to hit the post and all that kind of stuff, but Ustari kept us in that game, really.
Yeah, and one of the things I was wondering is that the calendar was only able to get one game, and Ustari's won that. And I can't blame him. Ustari's been on top of things. He's better with the ball in the back. He comes out running with the ball.
Can't complain.
That's some stuff that calendar just can't do for some reason, or he's just not perfected it yet. So yeah, every time they throw it back to Calendar, I always got nervous, and
Yeah,
that one game nervous
and
too.
and with Calendar now too, if he comes in, you've got to shake off that rust too. So on top of whatever issues he may have had before, he's got to shake off some rust. Roy
Yeah.
McIlroy just won the Masters, in case anybody was wondering.
Oh,
I just got a notification came across my screen.
oh,
Not that I
yeah.
follow golf, but if you follow golf, Roy McIlroy just won the Masters.
Oh, well, look at that. And I thought that was a tennis or something.
No.
Ah,
Here. See, Esteban proves that it does work. $5 super chat from Esteban Dito. Football Miami TV is the OG of all Inter Miami CF YouTube shows. Therefore, like, share, and donate. They work hard and do a great job of keeping us informed. Thank you, Esteban. Very nice of you.
here the dog's fighting over here. Sorry about that. Yep.
So,
Funny thing is, they're not even my dogs. My daughters, they each have a dog, and they're not in town. Well, they're not around most of the time. Who takes care of the dog?
This guy. Back to tonight's game. Messi. What are your thoughts on Messi tonight? I mean, so Messi and Suarez both, they walk around a lot, but it seemed even more tonight, right? Like, look, you could definitely see, and these guys know what's going on. They know that this game really meant nothing. Like, it's a long season. Even if they dropped in the standings, they have plenty of time to make their way back up. They don't need to break the scoring record. They've already done it, right? All they need to do is be in a good position for the playoffs to win the MLS Cup. That's all they need to do. And so if you look at the level of intensity in this game compared to that LAFC game, it's night and day. It's night and day. Although it was fun to see, I saw near the end of the game, Messi tracked way back on defense, chasing after, you know, the attacker. But Bruno is in the chat, says a hard fought match. We definitely struggle at times against hard pressing, fast and fit teams. I mean, that is the secret against us, is that press.
And the teams, all the teams play better against us, man. Because they know. I mean, that stadium was full. It's never full.
The biggest crowd they've ever had.
And there to see Messi. Messi almost scores. He had a couple opportunities, and people wanted to see that. It's basically every game that Messi has. Away game. All these people are there just to support him. And so we have a chance because the whole home field advantage is basically taken away in some of these stadiums.
Well, and that's what I was thinking too. I was kind of thinking about this game tonight, is that every single game that every team that plays against us, it's their biggest game of the year. Especially when we're playing it in their stadium. It is their biggest game of the year. And for us, it's just another game. Everybody gets up against Inter Miami. So we're that big dog that everybody wants to knock down. Everybody wants to hate. I mean, the amount of hate that this team gets online is insane. But that means you're doing something right. If people hate
and you love it, don't you, Pete? You love it.
Oh, I do. I do. I that's what, when there's some of my favorite commentators are the most kind of caustic. You may hate them, but I love that. Like, you think about just MLS commentators, Eric Winalda pisses people off left and right. Love him. And Alexi Lalas, who apparently I was compared to recently.
Yeah. When you have your stubble going, you have an air of him.
Is there?
Yeah.
So somebody commented on our last video saying they thought I was Alexi Lalas, and they said my voice sounded like him too, which I don't see any of that, but okay. I think I'm far better looking than Alexi Lalas. I'm just going to say that.
For sure.
But I lost my train of thought. But hey, Bruno is commenting. I did watch some of this game. Bruno's commenting that Dos Santos is a starter for San Diego, and Ustari just fits our style of play perfectly. Though in my eyes, we have the best goalkeeper trio in MLS, and Drake will keep improving he's still a young keeper. I agree with that part. But Dos Santos, the last game against San Diego, he looked like a backup keeper. He struggled. He looks like somebody that is going to have this job for this season, and next year will be replaced.
But he did well. I've seen him in other games. He's he goes out with the ball and everything. He's better with the ball in his feet. I think maybe it was an off game. I think they did lose this game.
Yeah.
But he made a lot of saves, man. So I don't, I didn't see.
He just bumbled around a lot. From what I was watching, if I remember, I don't think I watched the game. I was watching MLS 360 that was showing, just flashes, dropping in and out of the game, and he didn't look good to me. I mean, at all. But I know he's looked good in other games, but he just looked like somebody that, if he doesn't improve, he will be the backup keeper again next year. So
yeah.
Esteban saying Callender is a good goalkeeper, but Ustari gives us more peace of mind than what Drake Callender does. And I've always said that Drake, I was one of his biggest defenders, and I would always say that he's really great at stopping the ball and stuff like that, and just he's got great reach and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe not so great with his feet, but Ustari had some, like glue in his hands. There was a shot at him that it looked like he should have probably bobbled it, right? But he didn't. It was just like
he's got magnets or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got some glue, and you see those guys spitting in their gloves. What's he got some glue in his mouth, and he's just spitting into his glove?
Crazy glue or something. But yeah, they're doing really well. He's doing really well, and I'm glad for he's up there in the age too. So
yeah.
Goalkeeper, thank goodness they can keep playing for a while. So I think he's still in good shape, man. I think we're good.
A new Weissman checking in from Atlanta says we lost to Miami. Miami ties to Chicago. Good evening. I guess everybody thinks they're better than Chicago. Chicago is better this year, and I think Bruno was commenting basically on Berhalter's coaching. I think he was somewhere in the chat, but they are definitely a much improved team than they have been in previous seasons. So they definitely, they look better. They still have. I think they're still probably trying to rebuild to some extent. But again, everybody though looks their best against us. And that, going back to our Champions Cup thing, that is kind of what's scary about going up against Vancouver, because they are playing really, really well right now.
They are. I'm a little bit nervous about that. But yeah, Atlanta also lost at home to New England, of all teams.
Yeah. I saw a little bit of that, and I saw that Campana was playing, but he also, I saw a chance that he had that he just totally flubbed. And so I don't think he's doing anything really over in New England either. It feels like that coach is going to get fired probably again soon. I mean, I don't know. New England's not very good this year, and
you're probably thinking maybe he made a mistake by leaving, but then he would have been on the bench.
But he needed opportunities.
Yeah,
he needed opportunity. I don't blame him for going.
Unlucky. And his cousin is up for a re-election in Ecuador. So,
did you vote for him?
I did. I actually did vote for him. Yeah.
Did you vote for him because of the relationship to Campana, or
because of Campana? I voted for him. Yeah.
Nothing to do with the politics, because it's like whatever.
Yeah. It's all the family thing. When it comes to Ecuador, I don't vote. I'm not too. It depends on who seems to be better at the time. But it is what it is.
I was going to say, since you don't live there, you may not be as invested either. So you can have a little fun with just picking the player that you like.
Yeah, my brother wants to move there, and it also depends on if Noboa wins, he might move there, and I might eventually move there. When I retire.
To retire there, money goes farther.
Yeah, it goes a lot farther. So, well, we're talking with my better half to see what we end up doing. Just Miami's so expensive. It'd be like impossible to retire over here.
Yeah. All right, so let's switch gears off of today's game and talk about a couple of my other talking points that I had in there. We have a couple players that have been rumored to come to Miami, and you know, I don't think you can have both. But Angel Di Maria is apparently his agent is traveling to Miami, right? To try to negotiate. I don't know if he's here already or if that already happened or he's coming soon. And then Kevin De Bruyne is an option as well, which surprise,
Another.
surprise, we hold his discovery rights. That is the dumbest thing in the world, the discovery rights,
Yeah.
but we own them. And people could say, like, how does that happen? It's like, from what I understand, the way that basically works is every year you're allowed to pick, I think it's 5 players, just out of the thin air. Just saying, if they're to find their way into MLS, we get first dibs. We get dibs.
How did we
And
get? How did we get Messi? I mean, that would have been like the first pick from any team.
I don't even remember if somebody had discovery rights on him or nobody bothered because they just never thought it would happen. Maybe because the way discovery rights generally work, at least with Inter Miami, is you would try to go after the people you would put on your list would be people that you think are at the end of their contract that may potentially have an interest of coming here and that you would want. Some of them may be far fetched, but you at least think there's a possibility that they're at least an option, right? Because their contract is nearing expiration or what have you. Other teams will do it with no intention of signing said player. Like if you're Real Salt Lake and you put like Kevin De Bruyne on your list, he's probably never going to go there, but you just put him on your list just for bargaining because if else that wants him has to then give you money, right? You got to buy the discovery rights. So, but we have them. So,
yeah. And either dude, if we could get those 2 players,
okay,
what a team we would have. But the reality, I know you're coming to that.
Yeah, reality, you can't get 2. You can't. I don't think it's possible to get both. Anu Weissman is jumping in with a thought. Di Maria could be a depth addition for the Club World Cup roster. KDP should be a TAM player that'll eventually be a DP for 2026. And from what I understand, Kevin De Bruyne could not play in Club World Cup for us.
Why?
Something to do with the rules of the Club World Cup. He's already linked with. He would have to play with his current club in Club World Cup. So, I mean, he probably just wouldn't play for them, but he would have to sit out of our Club World Cup competition.
But that's weird because he would be out of contract with them.
I don't know. That's just a headline I saw. I didn't dig too deep in that. That could be wrong, but that's what I saw. But so. So the first thing is like what Anu is saying, the TAM deal. That's the biggest misconception, and I know in our little group chat, I think you had even brought that up. Like, hey, we don't have space because either of those 2 players you would assume would be designated players. Both of them. We don't have a designated player opening, so how do you make that happen? And it's simple because it's been done before. And I had to read about this because I didn't remember, but it had been done with Zlatan Ibrahimovic in that they signed him to basically a 6-month contract at a TAM deal. And we have plenty of TAM money. We got tons of TAM money. We traded away for TAM. We got TAM up your wazoo. So you could sign him for a 6-month contract with a promise of a longer DP contract the following year. And so then you have to worry about, okay, who's going to retire? Is Suarez going to retire? One of those 3 has to open up a DP spot or take less money to drop down to TAM. But that you worry about that next year. And you already probably have a good sense that maybe Suarez is going to retire. He did say...
But I'd be nervous about that because then we won't have a 9 unless Obando starts playing and becomes a miracle player.
Yeah, I mean, you have to find another young 9 or something like that, or a washed up 9, older player. But that's next year's problem, right? You could sign one of those 2 guys this year. I don't see how you could sign both, because you can't convince both of them to do TAM unless they're willing to just, like Di Maria being he's friends with Messi, unless he just is willing to take the Messi discount just so he could play with his buddies for a 6 months of a season and play on a TAM deal. I mean, that's the only way. But so Ed, long way around. If you have to pick one, Di
I knew you
Maria
were
or
going
De
to do that.
Bruyne,
I knew it.
who would you pick?
I
To
think
me, it's a no brainer.
Di Maria, because he knows Messi the way he plays. De Bruyne would have to adapt himself to the way that this team plays. Di Maria already has played with Messi, so just right there, that would be. I think that would be the ideal, because Messi would play on one wing, the other guy will play on the other wing. Uh, and I think we've got enough players to fill everything else in. So
In the
I think we'll be,
midfield, and De Bruyne would be, but more in the middle.
yeah. De Bruyne would probably be playing, yeah, more in the middle, up above like Busquets.
Busquets,
Yeah,
which would push Messi more into the forward position. Because he drops back sometimes, but he wouldn't have to now.
you
But
wouldn't have. To.
De Bruyne, if I looked it up earlier and if I got it right, is only 33. Di Maria, I think is 37.
He's 37. Yeah.
I'm going age. I'm taking De Bruyne.
Well, yeah, they either one would be really good. De Bruyne just scored recently, a penalty, I think it was, or was it a free kick? I think it was a free kick. Right. He scored, so he's still good. He's still doing passes, which is his forte. He does a lot of assists, so
Yeah.
that would just one less headache for Messi. He wouldn't have to go back, like you said. Either player, I think, will just make us that much better, Peter Brown. We would just be incredible.
And
The only thing I'm worried about, we would probably lose Suarez, but he's kind of old anyway. We would need another 9.
and Suarez just recently said this Inter Miami will be his last team. He said he's told his family this is it. So he's not saying this is the last season. He's just saying this is the last team. So he won't play for anybody else. So he either retires at the end of this year or maybe re-ups for one more year. But
I'd love to see him play at the new stadium also.
yeah.
But you can see he's just he hasn't scored as much. He's missed some good ones, this season. So it really
But
depends on whether
yeah.
he can do.
So in theory, we could keep all the players, and like one goal is saying is drop Boosie down, buy him down. So maybe it's Busquets that you bring down to a TAM deal. He came in as a DP. You got your DP money already. Now take the discount that, like, Jordi Alba took a slight discount in the first 6 months, right? And now he's a DP, but he wasn't. So you switch it around now, maybe. A new Weissman going with the common thought that a lot of people around the league say MLS will make it happen to cater to Inter Miami to sign KDB, fourth DP spot coming. So everybody always feels like the fix is in when it comes to Miami, and to some extent could be some truth to, not so where people think the fix is in with the referees. I think we would disagree based on the number of yellow cards that we get. I think that would disagree. But as far as catering to them to make the big signings happen, I mean, maybe. But then again, from an MLS's point of view, is it better to spread the wealth? Like Eric is saying, he thinks that we will trade De Bruyne's rights to New York, Chicago, or LAFC. So that is, of course, a possibility, and we could make some good money on. Discovery rights, I don't think generally go for a ton of money. I think it's like 150,000 in GAM, stuff like that. I don't think it's generally a ton of money that they go for, but I'd have to look that up. But for someone like De Bruyne, you'd figure you can charge a pretty penny for those discovery rights.
Yeah, he's a big kid, and that would make sense because he would go from, to Manchester City to New York City FC, which is owned by the same people. So
Yeah.
that would be great.
But yeah, the thought of spreading the wealth, which is the way the league started, right? If you remember, the league started off where every team had to have a national team player. Every team had to have their big international player, like a Valderrama, and so forth. So they spread it around perfectly, and that doesn't, So do you want one team to have all the, do you want to have the New York Yankees, I guess, of I'm not saying the Yankees are good, but I mean they have the history of
Right,
being good.
right.
I don't follow baseball
Well,
that close, but
one of the things that I liked hearing on that interview with Andres Conter that
mm-hmm.
Moss had is that he said if it were up to him, he said there would be no limit to what we could do because he would bring superstars. He would get the best players, and he was saying that he would bring up the kids that are from the academy to complement these superstars. But yeah, he feels like his hands are tied right now. But he says eventually he thinks that Major League Soccer will get there.
Mm-hmm.
They were talking about um, uh, promotion relegation as well. He doesn't think it's going to happen for a while, but it might happen in the future, he said.
Reading through some of the chats, it sounds like people feel more strongly like you about Di Maria. Not so much the fact that he's the better choice, just the fact that he's friends he with everybody.
And like I said, they know each other. They know how to
Uh-huh.
play together. So it would just, I think it might be a better fit. Even though, yeah, you're right. De Bruyne could give us more years of.
More years in that new stadium. That's a big name. I mean, it's not the kind of name of a Messi, but I mean, that's a once in a lifetime name. But he is still a big footballing name.
Yeah, he's huge still, and he doesn't play for the. He already quit the national team, so he wouldn't go to the World Cup and none of that
Mm.
stuff. So that's a good thing. He would be concentrated just with us.
A new Weissman, Darth Sidious. I'll make it legal. Inter Miami will sign KDB. um,
Too bad you can't do the voice.
Darth Sidious? No, no. Oh, here Anu is saying as far as discovery rights. So there is more money into some discovery rights. Royce got 600K, Almiron 400K, and that's how much Charlotte collected from discovery rights. So
Uh-huh.
there is some good money to be made in discovery rights. Okay, more than I thought.
So who has Ronaldo?
You figure somebody does. And that the whole discovery rights thing is something that's generally held very close to the vest, and you don't necessarily know who got the rights very often. This wasn't even like officially announced; it just kind of leaked out. I think somebody from ESPN found it, so it was just kind of leaked out. Bruno's feeling for De Bruyne, saying he was the best midfielder in the EPL for a couple of seasons.
He's still pretty good.
Yeah.
He's a
I
good
mean,
player.
look, they're both good players, but I do get concerned when I roll out a 37-year-old.
I
Bruno
hear you.
also
30
sounds,
sounds
who cares
better.
about CR7? So, funny story. I was in Canesware, and they have some of the Inter Miami stuff in a couple sections, right? So I'm in another little section where they have all the little stuff like, cups and stickers and magnets and stuff like that, right? And there's this family, there's this mother, and she's got a young child with him, and two ladies and the kid. And one lady says, "Look, they have Inter Miami stuff over there." And the mom's like, "Oh, no, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like that." And they're like, "Why?" Like, because he likes Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he doesn't. So this young boy would not which chooses not to cheer for Inter Miami because he's a Cristiano Ronaldo fan.
I thought you
Which
were gonna say because he's a football fan or a basketball fan or
no.
something.
Well, that would make sense being in that store because that store has more football things than it does soccer. It's got a good soccer selection, but really, I mean, it's called Canes wear for a reason. So, Ace Lionel says Di Maria is too injury prone. And Bruno is concerned about Jordi and Di Maria getting in each other's way. Do they both play on the same side?
They do play on the same side, but of course, Jordy's way in the back, but he does go
No,
all
he's
the way up.
not. He's always up
But
top.
yeah, but would they get in the way? No, I think they would complement each other. I think
Okay.
they could replace each other. They could move around. They'll be both on that side, and both of them are brilliant. So, I could see magic right there, man. These guys would pass the ball to each other, doing all these weird tricks and stuff, and plus Messi will get in, and dude, forget about it. It would be. I don't think they'd get in each other's way. I think they'd find a way to make it work.
All right. Well, as far as I mean, there's some people in our chat that are hating on Cristiano. But you did ask a good question. It's like, who holds his discovery rights? Somebody does. Somebody put his name down for sure. And it would be funny if it was somebody like, I don't know,
Orlando.
No, but see, they have a shot because it's still Florida, and I think being near Disney is attractive to people. I just think it could be still attractive. I was just in my top of my head just thinking, what is like the most obscure place that he would never go to? It would be like Colorado, or would it be like Dallas, or
Yeah.
a team that there's no shot in hell that he would ever go to. Charlotte, even. I mean, Charlotte's got a nice big stadium, but really, what famous international players like going, yeehaw, I want to go to Charlotte.
Nobody's going to do that one.
And look, Charlotte's probably a great city, but it's just not. I don't think the kind of city that's going to draw a big name. So,
yeah, I agree.
Eric Thomas bringing up the video that popped up, how about finding out this week that Lionel Messi is actually named after Lionel Richie?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I saw that.
I didn't know that one.
No, that his mom was a Lionel Richie fan. She should have, but they pronounce it Lionel in Argentina, right? They don't really call him Lionel.
Right.
Lionel Messi. I mean, we gringos call him that.
Yeah, Lionel Richie. But yeah, I was wondering, how come he spelled that way? You would figure they call him Leo because he likes to be called Leo.
Right.
Yeah. So, like Leonardo or something like that. But, it's Lionel. So,
yeah,
it's what it is. Too bad his mom wasn't there. His mom would have enjoyed meeting Lionel Richie.
What was Mama Messi thinking about when she was conceiving? What is one of Lionel Richie's famous kind of sexy songs? I mean, I can't think of any I off the top of my head.
I only thought about the Hello one.
And he's also got that song like Dancing on the Ceiling or something that had that cool music video. But I'm just trying to, what would be a sexy song by Lionel Messi? By Lionel Richie. Because, it'd have to be a song that gets you in the mood, right?
There you go. Any Lionel Richie fans out there, hit us up with some song ideas.
Yeah. Just Google sexy Lionel. Hey, so another topic that we could just quick wrap up the show in the last 10-12 minutes. Just thought on Eric thinks Dancing on the Ceiling is a sexy song.
That's not sexy, man.
No, I'm thinking like you gotta have like a Barry White type song, right? But it specifically said Lionel Richie, not Larry Barry.
I can't think of them right now, but yeah, there are a few.
Yeah, I mean they tend to be upbeat kind of fun songs, but I don't think of them sexy, anyways. But he'd been around. Didn't he sing for the Commodores as well?
Say me. There you go.
What?
Say you, say me. That
say
song.
You, say me. All right. Switching gears. So the ownership on Thursday, I think it was, got together in, I think it was Chicago, and had a owners meeting. And the topic of discussion on the owners meeting, we could probably do a whole show on this, but we enjoyed talking about the team too much. But the whole point of the conversation was switching the MLS calendar. And there's been rumors about that, and more than rumors. I mean, they've acknowledged that they were thinking about it. Don Garber's kind of brought it up, talked about it a little bit, but there was talk that there was potentially a vote that could have happened. It did not happen, but it was potentially going to happen where they would vote to approve or not approve switching the calendar to the traditional European calendar. But that got tabled. They decided they need to do more research. They need longer to think about it. And whenever they do approve it, the earliest it would be done is 2027, where a lot of people wanted this to be done like like the year of the MLS Cup. So next year, I'm sorry, MLS Cup in the year of World Cup. So do it
Right.
next year. But I'm just curious of people in the chat and stuff that what y'all think and what you think, Ed, about switching the calendar, because for us in Florida, sounds amazing, right? It sounds great. I don't have to. It won't be as hot. Still plenty of hot games. I'm sorry for all the dings. My daughter's texting. Um, if you can hear that, I'm not sure if you can, but we would love it in a place like here. But when you think about somebody place up in Minnesota or Colorado or even New York, I mean, I'm not sure how they feel about it. I do know how some people from Minnesota feel about it, because I have some friends up there, that soccer friends, that do not like it. So, what do you think, Ed? Do you think it's a good idea? Because the argument, even though every time I ask for your opinion, I have another thought. The other argument is not even it would be good for business, but terrible for fans. Like, what fan wants to sit in sub temperatures and on a regular game? Yeah, I was just talking about this game against Chicago. It didn't really mean anything. So on a game that doesn't really mean anything, is anybody going to sit in below 20 or whatever? I don't even know what the temperatures are like. I don't know, Cole.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. I hear you. Like you said, for us, it wouldn't make a difference because how it doesn't really get that cold. I mean, it gets cold, but not as cold as it does up north. And I can't imagine how people are going to be able to have. They're going to have to give them like those hand warmer things, and all this technology to keep people warm. But yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why they haven't pulled the trigger yet, because again, Jorge Mas had said it in that interview that he wanted that to happen. He wanted them to
Oh my
have,
god.
what happened? What happened, Peter?
It's just my daughter's talking, saying she found like a really good Italian restaurant. I'm just
I guess she's hungry.
and it's with
Good.
Apple, everything's tied together. So everything from my phone appears on my computer and everything like that. And it's
Get
just like
their way.
just seeing messages popping up about Italian restaurants, and every time and I quit the app. The app is done, but it's still going. I mean,
Popping up there, man. I hear you.
anyways, sorry about that.
But yeah, no. So I don't know. It's I like I can imagine that's probably one of the main reasons why a lot of owners don't want to do it. They don't want to pull the trigger yet because it's gonna, mess things up for their team. So, we don't have a problem. We're
No, for
good.
us down here, and people like in Texas, even though it gets cold there, it's fine. But it's more so it's blistering hot, and you always hear that players would prefer to play in the cold than the heat. So they're but I think it's in the business side of things, from getting players and being inside the proper windows and all that kind of stuff. It's all great and it makes sense for the business side, but the other business is butts and seats, which may hurt. But the argument is always, well, NFL doesn't have a hard time filling up a stadium in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is freezing. They have no problem.
You see
I would
people
say
without
that.
shirts over there.
I would say to that, though, MLS is no NFL. All right, so as much as this league is growing and getting a more dedicated fan base that's diehard, it's not the NFL. And people may just say, I could watch it on Apple TV at home, and I'll just stay home and watch it. So I don't know. I'm so used to the schedule the way it is that it would kind of be weird for me to flip the schedule. It's always been this way my entire life. Every league down here has been like this. So I just wouldn't. Let's see what people are saying. We've given them time to think about it. And New Weissman says, I'm all for the calendar switch. It would increase the quality of play. Teams that play in frigid temperatures would have to adjust. Easy for you to say when you play in a dome, right? Isn't a closed dome? I think the roof opens, I believe, right? It's easy for people to say that don't live in those temperatures. Like I have a friend, you might remember we used to have a guy from Minnesota on our old radio show every once in a while. I know he's not for it.
Of course.
And
not.
there's ways around it. They say they would every northern
Bruce
stadium
McGuire,
would just
right? Yeah.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm. Wasn't it Bruce McGuire? That was his name.
No. No, that he is Dark Clouds, but he was not our contact. I'm trying to remember his name right now. I forgot his name. I'd have to look on Facebook. But they would all have to put like heating systems in the field. That's minor. I think these owners can afford that. That's not the issue. I think it's more the issue of the fans in the stands. To me, what else? Let's see what else. Bruno Mike V is saying that he agrees with Bruno that they should have an Apertura Clausura with a small playoff, then a grand finale. So didn't the NASL try that in the last year of the NASL? I think they did with our version of the NASL. I think they did an Apertura Clausura. But correct, I don't know exactly. Does the Apertura and Clausura, do those line up with the proper European windows? Because that's the whole thing, is to line up with the European windows, not to be off at all. I'm not sure just when they start and when they stop, like when you think about the Mexican Apertura and Clausura.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, like, exact start dates. Like, is it the same, more or less? Because that's what they want to do. They want to be on the same start and stop dates for business side of things, to get the bigger name players. And like in that interview, Jorge Mas saying, in coming years, he'd like to see the 15 to 20 best players in the world choosing MLS, right? He mentioned that in that interview, and lining up those calendars would definitely make sense for that.
Yeah.
Eric Thomas is saying about it, we could do it. It would have to be slightly modified. Most of the cold weather teams would have to play first, second, or 3 weeks versus warm weather, or teams are domed stadium. So yeah, they'd have to, and that's so. And you got to then say, is that an unfair disadvantage or something like, or advantage or disadvantage, right? For you to have to play the first month on the road. Is that a disadvantage? Or you flip it, because that could be an advantage, because now at the end of the season, you're now playing more games at home when those games matter more. It actually could work out better for those teams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's not happening right now. They did table the conversation. They put it on pause. They want to think about it more. That is the one thing I think there is a little bit of a missed opportunity with Messi, is that a lot of people thought that there would be some big changes within the league because of Messi, and there haven't been. They thought that they would open up the spending because more eyes on the league because of Messi. They would change rules. And they only slightly modified rules, but kind of the way they modified them is the way they always modify things: weird and confusing. So they didn't do any of these big, bold moves that people thought would happen. So, anyways, apparently, our next game is against Columbus Crew, who are currently playing in St. Louis, and that game is going on right now, and it's a 1-1 tie. Columbus Crew currently sitting in fourth place, right behind us. So if they win or tie tonight, they will jump us in the standings and move up to third place, and we will drop down to fourth. If they lose, we stay where we are, I guess.
That's all good. I'm okay with it.
That's another. One thing about this upcoming game is this is the longest break Inter Miami has had in quite some time. They've got 6 days off. What are they going to do with themselves, Ed? I mean, 6 days off.
It's tough, man. I mean, I wouldn't do it. 6 days off would be awesome for us, but for them, yeah, they're just not used to it.
Not lately. All right, Ed. Esteban jumping in real quick at the end here. MLS needs to improve viewership on linear TV before they dare to make a drastic schedule change like that. I don't know. I'm not. I have thoughts on the whole linear TV thing. We could do that maybe next week or something. Talk more about that. I love the Apple deal, and you could make the argument: was Apple the right venue? You could say Paramount Plus would have been better because they have a soccer product already, and this and that. It just makes more sense, But they didn't make the deal. Apple did, right? They didn't.
Or Netflix has more subscribers,
But they didn't. obviously they didn't come forward, right? Who came forward with the bags of cash? It was Apple. And I never liked, and I don't like the way it used to be, where you don't know where your game is week in and week out. And people talk about being behind a paywall. If I had to have Fox, if I have to have ESPN, if I have to have Paramount, if I have to have all these different channels, I'm now spending way more. Just saying, because you could say, "Oh, I'll just get YouTube TV." Yeah, YouTube TV is like $85 a month, basically, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's not. That's having cable, and for me, like I cut cable for a reason to save, So, anyways, that's that. I think we could go down a whole nother path and have a fun conversation on another night. Yeah, and so people are. Eric is saying Apple TV is killing us. I don't agree, but again, this is let's table this and let's talk about this another time. Maybe next week we can dive into thoughts and opinions on Apple deal. So let's do that. Ed, do we have anything coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, we hopefully we're gonna have a show tomorrow. I'm not sure yet because Marco's gonna have a surgery on his shoulder. Depending on how that comes up and if he's awake enough, we'll definitely do the show tomorrow. We haven't done it in a couple because he was out doing business trips and stuff, but we want to catch up on that, and so be sure to we'll put it on our social media, so get ready for that. And otherwise, Peter Brown, what else we got this week?
Well, I will have a shopping video. We'll put up on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's done. It's just sitting there, ready to release. So we'll release that on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day we feel like is better. Just share the channel, guys. We are very, very close to getting 10,000 subscribers. So help us get there. Help us get to 10,000. We are very close. So it's growing. We had a very good week. So thanks to everybody for that checked us out for the first time, and those of you that have been with us for a long time. Anu is saying, "Put me in this, Peter. We should have a round table about, I guess, the Apple thing." All right. Well, maybe we have to think about this a little bit and how we could do it. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. See you, everybody.
See